Hello and welcome. My name is Kenny and this is Not So Super Movie Reviews. Today we'll be talking about a little film called... what was it? I'm drawing a blank, man. Oh, Blankman! That's exactly how they come up with his name in the movie, by the way. Yikes! Little shout out to my boy Ryan Smith, who suggested I do this video. Super fond memories of this as a kid. I loved this movie as a kid. Once he mentioned it, I just started remembering all these random little scenes and characters, and watching it, it all comes together in a way that almost makes me regret being born. Alright, so on this channel we only review movies that have a 50% or less on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie has a 14% critic review and a 40% user review, which is a pretty sizable gap. Compared to some of the other movies we've done, the users are a lot more lenient on this one. I have to say that because it's a comedy, it's a very different movie to review. So this one's definitely not like some of the other ones I've already done or will do. It's definitely a superhero movie, but I definitely want to come at this one with the lens of comedy. Does it work as a comedy? Not necessarily in the lens of a superhero movie. So we're definitely going to tackle it that way. Let's go for a ride. Alright, so let's talk about what worked about this film. First thing that I want to talk about is, right off the bat, this movie fails as a comedy. So just prepare your mind for that, because that's coming. But that's not to say that none of the jokes land. I think a lot of the stuff they were going for didn't land, but there are some good one-off bits that I did laugh out loud to. Some of it is definitely so bad that it's good, but some of it does land, namely our boy J5, who steals the show. Anytime J5 is on screen, you're about to get an awesome, funny, slapstick humor kind of thing, even though he only has one line, which is, "Hello, Kimberly," and it's amazing. Anytime I see J5, I'm like, okay, we're going up a notch, and loved it. The other thing that works about this movie, at least for me, is this, late 80s, early 90s kind of short circuit-esque set design, where you have all this like junk in the background. I kind of try to invoke that with this weird setup that I got going. You just got like tubes and like spoons that are welded to forks and spinning around, and beakers and just all sorts of random stuff, like a washing machine that's been turned into something. I mean, J5 is just an amalgam of random stuff. I love that. And you can tell that even if it's not the best thing in the world, they spent a lot of time on that. And you have to appreciate it. I mean, his motorcycle that only goes on train tracks, totally awesome. So I'm definitely going to say that's a win for me. That about wraps up what worked, unfortunately. So let's talk about what didn't work, and let's be honest, that's why you're here. The first thing that didn't work is just this 90s era stereotype humor, okay? They are leaning heavily on stereotypes. I mean, at one point there's a superhero called Midget Man. There's a superhero called Gay Man, who's just a white dude with chaps on. You've got black stereotypes all over the place. Most of the movie is that. You've got bad female stereotypes. The villain is so stereotypical. I mean, everything about this movie is playing on stereotypes, and it just doesn't age well. I'm definitely not trying to say that everything needs to be PC. Even from a 2019 lens, I think comedy is supposed to be a little non-PC. That's where some of the comedy comes from, but this movie just leans on it, and to a degree that is just obnoxious, to be honest. Alright, the second thing that doesn't work is the acting / terrible characters. I mean, a comedy is all about the characters and what situations you put them in. These characters are all terrible right from the get-go. I mean, all your supporting characters, the villain, like I said earlier, is your stereotypical little mafia boss. all of his little henchmen are stereotypical. You know, they're not shooting you in the head for some reason. They even make a joke about that in the movie. But they leave them in situations they can easily escape. You know, all of that would be forgivable if it wasn't for the focal point of this movie, which is Blankman, who is just playing this character. Daman Wayans is playing this character so uncomfortably mentally challenged, like just poking fun, just totally inflating this, you know, this persona that is just so uncomfortable the whole time. Anytime they focus on Blankman as a character and there's not any action or other characters interacting, it's just painful to watch. And it's, you know, another thing with the stereotypes, but this is the worst part of the movie, honestly, is Blankman. You know, when I was a kid, that was probably one of the funniest things possible. As an adult, it's cheap, it's not even so bad it's funny, it's so bad you feel bad that they made it, and you wonder if they regret it. You hope that they regret it. You know, the female character is your typical, just immediately falls in love with whoever's around, the big strong guy. I mean, when Blankman is your, like, hero, you're not doing so hot in life. So it's just all across the board. Jason Alexander's character, who plays this, like, sort of like like Breitbart, like, journalist in a wheelchair, actually really funny to watch. That was so bad it was good. But most everything else, including the main act, is just painful. And we'll get to that in the hardest to watch moment. Lastly, what didn't work about this movie is just that it's boring. You know, the set pieces for all the different big action scenes are all the same. Okay, somebody gets left by the bad guys to blow up, and they either do blow up or somebody saves the day. Then they go to another building where people are left to blow up. And then they go to another building where, you guessed it, somebody wants them to blow up. And this is all it just takes too long to get there. The setup to him actually becoming Blankman it takes so much time that it's crazy how unbelievable it is. He assembles what's essentially his blank cave in like a night. You know, I hate to say anything bad about it because that's one of the best scenes in the movie, but, you know, for a comedy and for a bad superhero movie, for a bad comedy, you want to at least be entertained. And this movie just takes too long to go anywhere with anything that it's doing, and you find yourself sort of trailing off. You know, the cheap humor wears off for you so quick, especially, at least for me as an adult. It hits you, it doesn't feel good, and it's gone. It doesn't work for the rest of the movie. And so most of the movie just kind of feels like the same bit over and over and over again, and it's not novel, it's just annoying. Alright, the hardest to watch scene wins by a landslide, and in the theme of repeating scenes, we're definitely going to be repeating this one for the climax of the film. That's a little joke for later. There's a scene where the reporter slash love interest goes to Blankman's cave on his cool motorcycle that only goes on train tracks. Still cool, but stupid. They go to his blank cave where J5 delivers the unforgettable line, "Hello, Kimberly." Loved it. When she kisses him, she kisses him. She goes alone to this cave with this guy who's clearly out of his mind, or just something's off about him. There's nothing off in her mind. She's like, this is an eligible bachelor and let's do this. She goes to his cave. When they're leaving, she gives him a kiss on the mouth, and he jizzes his pants. Like Lonely Island style, just jizzes in his pants. This was like, I watched this movie when I was a kid. I had no idea. I just was like, he was really excited to get that kiss. Now I'm like, yikes. And it's so hard to watch Daman Wayans, who's playing a mentally challenged person, essentially, for laughs, miming that he's jizzing his pants after receiving his first kiss. And it's just as hard for me to say it out loud as it is to watch. So I hope that it hurt for you to hear it. And again, they repeat that exact scene. That's the last scene of the movie. Wonderful. Alright, so who was right? You may have an inclination about what I'm going to say here, and you're right, probably. I would say that at the ripe old age of 31, the critics are right. Okay, there's no redeeming qualities about this movie, and it's not even bad enough for being bad to be its redeeming quality. It's boring, it's stupid, it's offensive, and it doesn't pay off. Any of the risks that it takes are not risks, they're cheap, they're overused, and yeah, just not good. Now, if we go over here with like 10-year-old me, 10-year-old me is like with the users. Like, this isn't the best movie on the planet, but I was laughing my butt off. And I think that was obviously the target demographic. Set aside some of the terrible bits that are not appropriate for a 10-year-old. But yeah, so if your audience is 12 or under, they're probably going to like it, but you're a bad parent if you let them watch it. Oh, hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. If you liked it, click that like button. If you want to see more of this kind of content, subscribe. If you want to be notified when more of this content releases, hit that notification button. Looks like a little bell. It takes you 2 seconds, and you'll love it when you see my face pop up at least once a week. If you want to see a specific movie reviewed, comment below. If it meets my criteria, I will add it to the list. And yeah, thanks for watching.